Hello everybody and welcome back to Salted Hash. I'm your host Steve Reagan, and as I have been all week long, I am at Black Hat, which means I'm in Las Vegas. It's really hot outside, so I'm in the air conditioning, and I found these two fellows. Now, this is Sean. He's the IT and National Security editor at Ars Technica. I'm not trying to plug a competing pub, but this time he's a friend, so we're going to keep him on. I promise it'll be okay. But this guy here, this is Jeremy from Lookout, but you know him better as Fishing AI on Twitter. So stay tuned, we're gonna have a really fun conversation. Oh, Jeremy, you're in trouble. Here you are on camera with me. So, Fishing AI has been around for a little bit on Twitter, and it's gained some attention because you hunt phishing kits and campaigns and completely expose them. And you've been doing this for a while, and you've gotten really good at it. So, tell me what a typical day in the life for you is. How does this work?
Sure. So we've written a bunch of code that looks at infrastructure and the way that fishers set up their phishing sites. Mm-hmm. And so we've written code to analyze those, classify them, categorize them, and then block them. So what you see on Fishing AI is the stuff that kind of bubbles up to the top, the interesting things, the things mm-hmm. that I think people are going to find interesting. We find these new things, we make new classifiers, and then those end up getting detected as well.
Now, on the back end of this, when you're doing that, now Lookout's customers are, when you detect something, they're never going to see this. It's can't get to it, can't visit it. You're so sorry, but watch the feed. You can see what we see.
Right.
When it comes to working with the brands, you spend a lot of time alerting like banks and ISPs, like, hey, people are targeting your customers, pay attention. What kind of feedback are you getting from them, and is it working? Are they responding and fixing things, or is it really a headache?
Yeah, I've been really impressed by the response time for most vendors. You know, you get a tweet out, and it's very public, and they respond almost right away. Excellent,
that's really good. What about the general public itself, the security curious, if you will, that kind of know what you're doing, but they really don't know? What kind of feedback are you seeing from them? Are they engaged by this, or is this something that's a little over their heads?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that have gotten excited about it that kind of want to play along. So I make sure when I find something new that I'll link the source code to the kit so that they can hop in and take a look at the source themselves. You know a little bit about that.
Yes, I do. In fact, that's a beautiful segue. Thank you for that. It's time for me to plug Kit Hunter. Yes, Kit Hunter. You may have seen the video earlier. No, I'm just kidding. Earlier this week, Salted Hash released a Python script that was based partially on some of his work. See, as I said earlier in the other video, there was a time where I wanted to learn Python, but trying to read books frustrated me because I just couldn't get through it. But I had a project in front of me now, so it was easier to move through. And it was his work on Twitter that led me to write a script that finds phishing kits inside of dedicated, semi-dedicated, or even enterprise environments so that admins could get context and see when these things pop up. And it was his work on Twitter that kind of made that a reality, because I figured on the front end, if we could see what he's doing, then how would an administrator find this stuff? Like, not as advanced as what you're doing, but it's really basic stuff. Now, there is a reason I've drugged Sean into all this as well. So this week I put out phishing related scripts and other information. There's a new screencast, by the way, where I walk you through a brand new hybrid attack that starts off as one thing and ends as another. Check that video out. But Sean here, you published a feature earlier this week about phishing. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I wrote a feature about the stuff that Jeremy's doing and some other researchers in terms of using machine learning to detect phishing, and I used one of the tools myself to do a bunch of phishing identification, and I was hitting 800 an hour at a certain point.
You and I were talking about that.
It was insane how many phishing sites come up in just
stream.
an hour.
Yeah.
And then I went and I decided to play around with a few of them, and I found one run on a server in Chicago by someone out of Morocco that was an Apple ID phishing site that had just gone up. I mean, literally had just gone up. I got the certificate data, went to it, and he hadn't even unzipped the kit yet.
Yeah.
It was still sitting there. He literally, and I got into the access logs because he had left his web shell there open. So I went down and I looked at the access logs, and I had gotten in an hour after he set the site up.
Wow.
So I watched him unzip the site, and I watched him unzip the kit, and then, and while I was doing this, I contacted SingleHop, the company that was hosting the server that he was using, and I got his IP addresses. Saw he was in Morocco. Saw 2 different Morocco IP addresses involved over the course of it. So he probably went to lunch someplace, or he was using another point of entry from another network, and then. But you're repeating that over and over again is a lot of work. I mean, it's manpower intensive, and so that's why the stuff that Jeremy's doing is really important, because when you are able to have machine learning look at that stuff and surface it and go through the work of looking at, is it a kit, what type of a kit is it, and then processing it in a way that deters or moves customers away from looking at it, that avoids the whole problem of having to hunt down each of the kits and go to the providers and shut them down. Although it'd be great if you could automate it to send alerts out to the providers themselves, to network operators, and tell them, hey, you've got a kit operating here. The problem with shutting them down is that it can take 2 or 3 days, depending upon how the thing is set up. So in this case, the phishing kit was on a cPanel server that was being run by another hosting company that was renting servers from SingleHop. It was
it's a reseller.
It's a reseller. So it was a reseller. They had to contact the reseller. The reseller had to look at it, and they had to turn it off. So it took 2 days to shut the site down. There are a lot of resellers who are kind of sketchy resellers who may not shut down a site.
No.
So, and there are, and cPanel plus WordPress equals internet cancer. So there are lots and lots of sites out there that are unpatched hosting sites that have been owned thoroughly by somebody, and they're operating as phishing farms, and they'll never get shut down.
When I was developing Kit Hunter, one of the crews that I followed to get all of their mechanics into the script so they can easily be detected no matter what they're building, because these guys they love to brand everything that they do in different ways, but it's always the same brand. So now, like the other day, you found one targeting the UK government, right? So Kit Hunter, without knowing anything about that kit, detected it immediately, because these guys love to brand themselves, and it just stands out. And they kind of have to do that because of the business side of phishing, but we'll talk about that in a different video.
I think the other one that you found that was interesting was the Cotter one.
Oh yeah. The Cotter one was great. Actually, talk about that one a little bit, that kit. How did you find that? Was that one of your passive scans, or was this something you were digging for?
So there are kind of a special set of features that we extract that look for targeted spear phishing attacks against government. So that was one that bubbled up to the top very quickly. It didn't fit the same kind of profile as your Apple ID login stuff. It's kind of this special bucket that gets individual attention. So if something gets hit and gets thrown in that bucket, that's something that I look at by hand right away. So that one was a great example.
Yeah, it was an impressive looking kit. The back end was clean, which is very uncommon for a lot of
Extremely. It suggests that something else was going on there besides your normal phishing.
Oh yeah, there was intent behind this kit. So to move forward on where you're at now, what you have is a really detailed setup and a process to get these kits out there. How are you going to improve on that going forward?
So that's really important, because these phishing trends, they changed very, very quickly. So your commodity fishers, free is king. But the economy of what is free changes over time. So you've got web hosts that offer free hosting, that becomes popular. If you've got a registrar with a new TLD, for example, last week it was .000. There was a sale, free domain. Fishers love free, so we saw a huge uptick in .000. So that kind of naturally comes out of the analysis process, and then we can start to build models that fit that. That may go away over time, so we monitor the performance of the models, and then we can age them out.
Now, like Sean, you too have also seen the birth of a phishing website, where it's blank at first. Like you catch the domain being registered, you catch the cert being issued, and you go and it's empty. And then suddenly there's the zip file, and then suddenly there's the thing. About how many of those do you see in, let's say, a given week or so? I mean, do you see them all the time, or are they fairly rare?
So we're collecting approximately 4,000 new kits per month.
Wow.
And it's what's key there is monitoring the signals that they generate when they're setting up infrastructure, having code in place that doesn't give up and keeps on monitoring, and then in addition to that, learning from past experience. So sometimes you'll hit a site and there'll be index of, and you're sitting there, you're waiting for that kit to get uploaded. But other times you'll get 403 or a 404 not found. So, but there is actually a phishing kit there.
Yeah,
the landing page is just hidden.
That's a very common trick here in the last few months. The criminals will develop fake 403 pages, fake 404 pages, fake index of pages, and sometimes the way the security component's built in is, depending on your browser headers, your ISP or geolocation, it bounces you to one of these error pages or completely to a different site by modifying the headers. So it'll push you off to Google, or it'll push you off to Yahoo, or if it really hates it, it'll push you off to Bing. And
there's a lot of the anti-robot apps. And so, in fact, I looked at the code of several of them, and one of them basically, it was hysterical to read the comments in it. The code comments are great.
We can't repeat those on tape, but they're colorful, very colorful.
So it was looking for anything that was a robots, a web search engine coming in, or particular IP addresses.
My favorite's Tor exit nodes. They watch for Tor exit nodes. And another interesting thing about these kits is the security features are actually cut and paste between groups. So it is very common to see one group develop a security element to their kit, and then another group completely rips it off and uses the exact same code, including errors, no less.
And backdoors.
Yes.
And the thing is that I've seen included on a lot of these pages, I've seen not just one of these anti-robots things,
multiples.
12, 13.
Yeah,
they do the same thing. They even
antibot9.php, antibot4.php, and it's all the same stuff going through.
And then some of them have logins hidden in the index pages they show.
Yeah, little itty bitty logins to the admin panel that's like a single pixel at the top, and it's just insane how they do that. Hey guys, this has been fun. I'm glad you were able to come and hang out with us.
My pleasure.
So let's walk down the line. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Well, they can come to arstechnica.com, or they can follow me on Twitter at @ThePacketRat.
What about you, Jeremy? Aside from Phishing AI, are you publishing anywhere lately?
I'm just basically Phishing AI. I am planning some Medium posts, so watch out for those.
Excellent. Of course, you'll promote them from Twitter, I do hope.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And you can watch for my push request on GitHub to your GitHunter project. GitHunter.
He's going to help me write the code. It's going to be awesome. As always, I'm Steve Reagan, and this has been Salted Hash. Of course, if you want to learn more about phishing, social engineering, and everything in between, remember to check us out at csoonline.com. I'll see you soon.